Okay, let's unpack this. When you think of a parent-teacher meeting, what comes to mind? For a lot of people, I think it's maybe that nervous sit-down, right? Talking grades or maybe dealing with some tricky behavior stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that feeling is pretty common. Dread almost sometimes.
Exactly. But what's really happening in those meetings, behind the classroom doors?
Right. What are those moments you don't expect? The little insights, maybe even the funny things that show who a student really is beyond just the report card.
Yeah. So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the surprising side of parent-teacher conferences. We've got this really detailed account of one meeting. It's between a teacher, Mrs. Johnson, and the Sharmas, their parents of a student named Rohan.
And our mission here really is to pull out those fascinating nuggets of insight to show how these meetings can be so much more than just, checking boxes on academics.
Totally. They can be like a window, right, into a kid's whole world, their quirks, their humor, even their emotional smarts.
Exactly. Their emotional intelligence. It's often quite surprising.
So you might find yourself listening and nodding along, maybe recognizing some of your own experiences, or perhaps just getting a whole new angle on these really vital interactions. So let's start at the beginning, that feeling, that sort of universal anxiety parents get walking in. For Mr. and Mrs. Sharma, the source says the worry was pretty intense. Mr. Sharma apparently whispered something like, "Did he set something on fire again?"
You can just picture that, can't you? That sort of braced for impact feeling.
Totally. So how did the teacher, Mrs. Johnson, handle that initial nervousness?
Well, this is where it gets really insightful strategically speaking. Mrs. Johnson, she didn't feed into their worry. Instead, she just immediately shifted gears.
Yeah.
Warm tone, reassuring. Described Rohan as, and I quote, a delight creative, funny, and full of energy.
Ah, okay. So diffusing it right away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just being nice, it's smart psychology. It disarms them instantly. And it turns what could feel like an interrogation into more of a team meeting, a collaboration.
Right. And that probably made it easier for the parents to open up.
Precisely. That positive start led them to share more about Rohan's home life,
Okay.
which apparently involves a lot of gaming, or Rohan making passionate arguments for gaming as a career choice, no less.
Uh-huh. Okay, I could see that energy she mentioned. That's a great way to build that initial connection. So, okay, they're feeling a bit more comfortable. What about the academics? I gather Rohan had some clear strength, but maybe some, let's say, interesting challenges, especially English.
Interesting is definitely the word. Academically, yeah, he's doing well in math and science. Great problem-solving skills, apparently. That part's solid.
Okay.
But English,
Yeah.
The source gives this amazing example. He wrote a paper titled, Why Homework Should Be Illegal.
No way.
Yes. And apparently it included doodles of a teacher being chased by a homework monster.
A homework monster. That is fantastic. That paints such a picture.
It really does. And, the insight here isn't just, he needs to follow the rules. It's deeper. It shows how these meetings can help everyone see that this homework manifesto isn't just misbehavior. It's like raw critical thinking. It's advocacy, just unfiltered.
Right. It's creative energy that needs maybe a bit of direction.
Exactly. It reframes the problem. It's not a flaw to be corrected, but maybe a unique strength that just needs channeling. So, yeah, the takeaway was working on structure and maybe less conspiracy theories.
Less conspiracy theories, right? I love that. That homework monster, though, it does make you think that same energy, that creativity and argumentativeness must show up elsewhere, too.
Oh, definitely.
How did it play out in his, general classroom behavior? I heard the word enthusiastic was used diplomatically.
Well, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
His parents, apparently, immediately knew what that meant. Their translation was, he won't stop talking.
Okay, got it. Enthusiasm.
And that enthusiasm,
Yeah.
it comes out as very strong opinions. The source has another classic Rohan moment. He apparently led a debate on why recess needed to be 3 hours long.
3 hours. Okay.
Yep, complete with rallying cries. He got his classmates chanting, "Free the children," apparently while standing on a desk.
Oh, my goodness. On a desk. Wow. So how do you even handle that? As a teacher or a parent, that's a lot of personality.
It is, and that's the key question, isn't it? It's not about squashing that spirit. You don't want to do that. It's more about how do you channel it? How do you guide it?
Yeah.
The parents' reaction was actually pretty telling. They decided to talk to him about appropriate activism.
Appropriate activism. That's a good phrase for it. Finding that balance.
Letting his personality shine, but also teaching, the time and place, social boundaries.
Okay, I feel like I'm getting a really vivid picture of this kid now. He sounds like quite the character. But even with all these, academic notes and the behavioral stuff, the homework monster and the desk chanting, our deep dive points to a moment in the meeting that was really different. Something that wasn't about grades or rules at all.
Yeah, this is where it really shifts.
What did Mrs. Johnson share that sort of surprised the Sharmas, moved them even?
This is where the meeting goes beyond the checklist,
Yeah.
becomes really human. Mrs. Johnson talked about Rohan's big heart and told him about this specific time she saw him notice another kid, a classmate, sitting all alone during group work. And Rohan just went over, apparently, and invited the classmate to come join his group. Just like that.
Oh, wow.
And the line from Mrs. Johnson that hit home was that kindness matters more than any grade.
Yeah. That lands differently, doesn't it?
Completely. Parents often aren't expecting that. You can, catch them off guard in the best way. It touches them. And it highlights this whole other dimension of their child's development. Stuff that doesn't show up on a test score.
Things that can't really be measured easily.
Exactly. That's the real nugget here, I think. These meetings can sometimes be the only place where those kinds of things, a child's empathy, their moral compass in action, are actually seen, acknowledged, and importantly celebrated.
Giving the parents that full sort of holistic view, not just the student, but the person.
Precisely.
That's powerful. Knowing your kid isn't just learning math facts, but is actually, growing into a good, kind human being.
It's huge.
So, okay, they've got this really rounded picture now, the academics, the enthusiasm, the big heart. How did they wrap things up? What was the plan?
It really turned into a proper partnership, which is, let's be honest, the ideal goal for these things, right?
Definitely.
So for Rohan, the plan involved more reading practice. Makes sense. And I love this idea, getting him into a structured debate club.
Oh, perfect. Channeling that argumentative energy.
Exactly. Constructively this time. And there was also this kind of funny agreement all around to have fewer gaming rants during math.
Huh. Okay, fair enough. A reasonable request.
And the parents were on board too. They committed to maybe dialing back his pro-gamer lectures at home a bit.
So a real team effort.
Absolutely. It shows how these meetings aren't just about flagging issues. They're about building a strategy. Home and school working together. The real insight there is that genuine support needs that consistency, right? That shared approach across both worlds for the kid.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So when we step back and look at this whole meeting, what does it all tell us? Our deep dive into this one conference, Rohan's story, it seems to show these meetings are like rich tapestries. Is that fair?
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
They weave together all these threads, the schoolwork, the behavior quirks, but also, crucially, the child's core personality, their emotional world.
They're not just reporting facts, they're revealing the person. There are chances for teachers and parents to actually see that whole picture, to celebrate those small wins, like the kindness thing, that might otherwise just get missed.
Right.
And then together figure out a path forward, even when there's a bit of humor and, maybe some glorious chaos involved, like with Rohan.
Right. Which kind of brings us to a final thought for you, listening. Thinking beyond just the grades and the behavior reports, what surprising things, positive things, funny things, insightful things about a child, or maybe even about yourself, thinking back to when you were a student or how you are as a parent, what might be hiding just beneath the surface of one of these, seemingly ordinary parent-teacher interactions, just waiting to be discovered?